Turn your mind on and your TV off. It's time to hear the real truth behind what's really going on. Join Tia Severino, an advocate for truth, freedom, and spiritual growth, as she explores the real story behind what we are made to believe on her show, The People's Truth. In the next hour, you'll be exposed to shocking revelations, to lies you have believed in all your life. Together with her guests, she will unravel the facts behind the current events, health, wellness, faith, justice, and more. As Orwell said, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Join the conversation, leave a comment, or call in live 678-495-4345. Don't forget to like, share, and help spread the great message out. And now, here's Tia Severino.
Myself a bit to any new viewers out there who do not know my story. I'm a mother of two beautiful and tragically vaccine-injured children. I got involved with the Vax team back in 2016 and helped launch the grassroots movement that made that film successful despite the incredible amount of censorship against the filmmakers. In 2017, I began doing interviews and live reporting on the We Are Vaxxed Facebook page and later the Peeps TV Roku channel. I am an associate producer on the film Vaxxed 2: The People's Truth, and back in November of 2019, I was introduced to Tim Ray at UI Media Network, who featured my Atlanta premiere of that film on his shows Awaken Atlanta and Good Intentions. So, earlier this year, when I was about to interview Dr. Judy Mikovits, Tim offered me the opportunity to do that interview here at his studio, and I jumped on it. That show became the pilot episode for this series, The People's Truth. So I owe a debt of gratitude to Tim and everyone at UI Media Network for bringing me on the team here. One of the conditions I had of coming on was that this show would be simulcast on We Are Vaxxed. So this becomes a sort of lovely merging of brands, so to speak. Thank you, Tim. Here's a look back at the show so far, which was the pilot episode, actually, not the episode. The first episode was Highly Censored Doctor Speaks Out with Dr. Judy Mikovits. Episode 1 was Freedom of Religion Under Attack with Dr. Shannon Kroner with Dr. Aaron Lewis. Episode 2, Psychology of Oppression, Hannah Maria. And episode 3 was 1986, The Act with Dr. Andrew Wakefield, Karen Kane, and John Gilmore. Now, when I realized that I would be in a professionally produced show on an actual legit network, I was like, but my wardrobe is full of mom clothes and a very limited selection of business attire. Luckily, I have a friend named Zuri Love who happens to be an incredible fashion designer. She worked with me over a decade ago on a fashion show I did. So the last 2 shows, I have worn shirts designed by Zuri. And today's shirt was also made by her. I'm really excited to announce her as the first artist in my new monthly segment, Art with Heart, where I will feature artists who are giving back to the community. Zuri and I have something in common. We are both recovering from breast implant illness. In this video we are about to watch, Zuri talks about her activism as well as sharing about her struggle with breast implant illness. Let's watch that now.
We met when I was doing the Strut for Autism fashion show, if you remember, and I was actually trying to raise money for a handful of autism-related, small autism-related nonprofit groups.
know that you've been doing this autism thing. Your son is autistic, and you've been such a beacon for other women who don't have the opportunity to really talk about it, to focus on it. And so I'm glad that I was able to participate to show that there are a lot of issues with the vaccinations, the autism. You know, doing that show with you was great.
What I loved about that show was that you had beautiful women of all skin tones and all skin body types.
Yeah,
that really that you asked me can I said, can you bring your own models? And you said yes, but a lot of my models are voluptuous. And I said, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
who
like
wants to only see skinny girls?
I like real women.
Yeah.
It was more of a love and a need.
Yes.
And for me to be able to provide solutions for women who are full-figured or who feel that, you know, a size 4 and size 6 is not going to cut it. You know, I had a lot of women that were size 16, 14, 18, 24. It just bounces around. So, you know, real bodies, real clothes, you know.
Real clothes for real women.
Real clothes for real women. And then to be able to participate and support, and you see yourself out on the runway is more important. Because I think that's what counts. You know, is to be able to provide solutions for people who don't have them. We don't have a lot of options in the stores. They're doing it now, but look, that was back 2009. Was that 2009?
Do they still have stores?
Like, who knows? Right? Like, everything's going to online living. So,
oh gosh,
you know, we're learning a new lifestyle.
So if you're in the Atlanta area and you need to look amazing, this is the girl you need to go to. Zuri Love. How can people find you if they want to?
Right now, I'm on Instagram. You know. Actually, you know what's funny? I do have one other project that I'm working on that has to encompass all of us, no matter where we are and what we're doing. The name of my project is called Eracism. So with Eracism, I want to just really focus on how do we get back to being a unit. You know, we want to acknowledge that, oh no, there's no racism. No, it exists. There's people that are dying right now, and that's why we have the Black Lives Matter. And, you know, Hispanics are dealing with things. Indians are dealing with things, but I don't think that we've addressed the fact that we're still being hanged. Like, so we're in America and we're supposed to be in the land of the free, but we're not. Who's free? I don't know anyone, you know, that looks like me that would actually hang themselves, or even know how to tie a noose. But, you know, it's something that we need to look at, and let's all start speaking up a little bit. I know people are afraid to step out and to get there with, you know, the political aspect of it. Some people just want to live their lives and be at peace and not participate. And that's okay too, because everybody's not made to be out in the forefront, to be fighting, you know, things when we still need to function and we still need peace. So that's what we're here to gain. So, and, you know, there's a lot of broken families because of it, because of the mental illness that's come out of it. And even with racism, that's what I acknowledge it to be, as a mental illness.
Well, seeing others as separate and different from you, and then not loving them because of
we're all
that
human
separation and difference.
If none of us had eyes to see and just had two holes, like, what would the color matter? When I touch you and I close my eyes, even you, Tia, you know, as I embrace you as my friend, you know, I don't know anything about what Caucasian is. You know, I can't touch upon that. All I know is that you just look different than me because I can see it. But at the same time, you're not much different from me at all, you know. And the thing is like, okay, that's my sister.
Exactly.
You know, like, I don't care. You're my sister. You know, every day, everybody should be able to be free and just enjoy themselves and live. I think we're just fighting a little too much, and, you know, everybody wants to be on top. It's like, no, let's just walk together. Nobody has to be ahead of one another. Let's walk together and do it.
Absolutely.
You know? We're better together.
Oh, you're so beautiful. I love you.
Thanks, I love you too.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing this with me today.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed having this conversation with you.
Okay, so we're back, and I am so sorry, but unfortunately, this is what happens when you're doing a live show. That was supposed to be a video with Zuri talking about her activism, followed by Zuri talking about her breast implant illness. And I uploaded the wrong edit of the video, so my deep apologies. But I just want to say that Zuri shared with me her story about breast implant illness and that she has just gotten her breast implants removed in December of last year and is feeling much better. And if I can, I'm going to try and get that video to my producers before the end of the show so that we can hear Zuri's story perhaps towards the end. But I do want to say thank you so much to Zuri for creating the beautiful wardrobe that I have been wearing. And I guess we'll just move along and we'll go ahead and start talking about, well, you know what? Let's just take a quick break. Let's take one really quick break. And when we return, we'll be talking about my breast implant illness journey. And I'll be introducing you to my friends Dee and Laura, who are advocates like me for breast implant illness awareness, after the break.
If this content resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel at uimedianetwork.org to stay updated with our uncensored shows. Also, like and follow us at UI Media Network on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and almost all your favorite podcasting platforms. Most importantly, if you're being censored on social media, write to us at contact@uimedianetwork.org to get your message out. And remember, keep raising that frequency.
Welcome back to The People's Truth with Tia Severino. Today we're going to be talking about breast implant illness. I got implants in 1998 when I was trying to get over a heartbreak. It was a huge mistake that I regretted immediately as soon as I took the bandages off. I hated them. They were too big and very uncomfortable. Shortly after getting them, I decided to finish school, and upon acceptance to Pepperdine University, one of the requirements of attendance was to get boosters for tetanus, diphtheria, and measles, mumps, rubella vaccination. Almost immediately, my health took a nosedive. I had entered school with a 3.88 GPA and the Dean's Scholarship for Academic Excellence. But shortly after the vaccines, I was having trouble maintaining a BC average, and I began having mobility issues. Today, I realize this was due to a phenomenon known as the two-hit effect, where a body that is already in chronic autoimmune inflammatory state is hit with an immune event that overwhelms the system and causes a reaction far greater than each event by itself would cause. But back then, I couldn't understand why I was struggling so much with so many mysterious health problems and never associated it with either the implants or the vaccines at the time. I had Mentor smooth saline implants for 18 years when I found Nicole DeRuda's website and Facebook group. All of the symptoms were right there on the website, healingbreastimplantillness.com. And I had 90% of those symptoms. Suddenly, everything started to make sense. Other women were suffering like I was. I wasn't alone. I searched for the right doctor to take mine out, and it took 7 consults to find him. During that time, I was filled with fear and anxiety. The Facebook group helped me so much. And that Facebook group is Healing Breast Implant Illness and Healing by Nicole. I always get them mixed up with the website. The website is healingbreastimplantillness.com, and the Facebook group is Breast Implant Illness and Healing by Nicole. The group had 3,000 members when I joined, and now has 120,000. The group is so large, in fact, that posts get buried quickly. So I eventually started a smaller group for ladies in the Southeast who are using Georgia surgeons. There was one post in October 2016 in Nicole's group that I saw while I was getting ready to have my surgery, and that post gave me incredible hope. That was Dee Hicks before and after pictures of her face. You could really see the difference in her skin tone and her eyes. The inflammation had gone way down in just hours and days after removal. In 2016, Dee was so very sick. She was suffering from breast implant illness and felt like she was going to die. She had her explant surgery at the end of 2016 and began supporting other women by educating them and guiding them through the proper explant process. She has attended FDA meetings. She has helped run one of the largest support groups on Facebook. She's been featured in over a dozen media pieces globally, sharing her story and spreading awareness for breast implant illness. In October of 2019, she became the first ever Explant Liaison and accepted this tailor-made position for Aqua Plastic Surgery in Jupiter, Florida. I'm very fond to call Dee a friend, and how her story helped me is just another great example of the sisterhood that has formed among ladies suffering with breast implant illness. Dee, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tia. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, beautiful?
Great, great, great. You look so pretty, and I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Tailor-made by Zuri Love.
Tailor-made. Looks really
Tailor-made.
pretty.
And you look fantastic. Now, you just rushed home from working another shift as an explant liaison. For folks out there that have never heard of Explant Liaison, that shouldn't be a surprise since it's a brand new position that was created for you. What does that job entail?
Honestly, it's really about, when women are seeking to explant and they want some guidance through the process and they want to identify their problems. Because I had over 50 symptoms, I had so many. I woke up from surgery, 45 of the 54 were gone. So from my own personal experience, I am able to educate them on, what I went through, what I experienced. Also, when I joined that group, there was 1,500 members. And like you said, now there is 120,000. So, we become very knowledgeable working with these women on a day-to-day basis. And so really what I do is I help connect the dots. I take the time to educate almost every single woman I speak to on why this is actually happening to their body. Because, there's two factors. There is the foreign object in the body, and then there is the toxicity from the silicone. So, once you kind of connect the dots and, it's a light bulb for so many women when they're like, by the time they speak to me, they've, heard about breast implant illness. They're not sure what a proper explant is and about, removing the capsules and how important that is because the capsules become, saturated, whether it's a silicone breast implant or a saline breast implant, they all have a silicone shell. So therefore, when that shell, of course, is wrapped up against the implant under pressure, in heat of almost 100 degrees in a dark place for years, it's natural that it would absorb the toxicity. I mean, some of them come out smelling like straight chemicals. I've been very blessed to be able to go into dozens of surgeries now at this point. So, I've really been very blessed with this position, but it's really helping the women, understand what a proper explant is, why they're sick, and, and help them, find the right surgeon for them,
Well, and I think that it's a natural evolution of the work that both of us have been doing as far as connecting with other women through the Facebook group.
Yes.
Helping each other to understand why we're sick. And then the whole mental, emotional process that goes on of, oh my God, I did this to myself. And why did I do this? And oh my gosh, I got to get them out. And it's going to cost as much to get them out as it did to get them in. And what am I going to look like afterwards? And how do I find the right doctor? And how long is it going to take to heal? And will I feel better? All of these questions are swirling around in our head. And honestly, I mean, I can say this about me. I think that a lot of us went into this because we had some self-esteem issues of some kind to begin with. So when we think about, oh gosh, got to get these things out, and then what am I going to look like afterwards? And is my lover, my partner, going to find me as attractive? And and like what have I done to myself? So,
Yeah.
you know, that
it's a big journey. I mean, it's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, you know, it's about self-love, accepting your body organically, you know, realizing that anything you put into your body, whether it's a device or whatnot, it has consequences. You know, the body was not built to have these foreign entities, and it's definitely an endocrine disruptor and causes immune system dysfunction right from the jump, right from as soon as you put them in. And that's why your body creates the scar tissue.
Right, right. And then you're setting yourself up for other, like in my case, I had the implants put in, I had an inflammatory response going on in my body, and then I went and got those vaccines. And I've heard of a lot of girls that have told me that, yeah, you know, I seem to be okay until either I had an accident or I got really sick or I had a vaccine or something like that. So your body's already in an inflammatory state, and then something else comes along that provokes the immune system, and the immune system is just like, whoa, you know.
Exactly. Usually, fight. You know, it can be from a foreign substance to, you know, I've seen women get an ID and an IUD, and then all of a sudden it triggers the symptoms. I've seen, you know,
Lyme,
chin implants trigger it, you know, but a trauma, whether it's a death, a birth, buying a house, all these things that trigger a stress, take quarantine for that matter. I mean, I have got to say that, you know, during this period, it has been catastrophic to women that have been sitting home suffering because, you know, they're just, they're already in a fragile state, and then add the fear and, you know, the unknown and all that stuff to it, and being compromised as it is, it's just a stressful situation. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, the sisterhood that's formed through the coming together through the Facebook group, I think has been, you know, like, honestly, those pictures that you posted, they really had a huge impact on me. I was getting ready to have my surgery, and those pictures, I clung to those pictures for my hope that I would feel better. And, you know, so your story touched me, inspired me, gave me hope. And then just shortly after I had my surgery, this beautiful girl, Yvette, who's also in our group, who I also happen to know through the vaccine risk awareness work that I have been doing, she ended up choosing to use the same doctor as me and came to Atlanta, and I was able to care for her while she was here. And that story of me caring for Yvette actually inspired another friend of both of ours named Renee. And Renee is working on a book right now. I don't know if you've heard about this, but she is working on a book that is going to talk about the history, what was known over the years about breast implant illness, what was covered up. It's going to include stories of women with breast implant illness and their journeys. And anybody that's interested in that book, at the end of the show, I'm going to give an email address. So if you want to find out more information about it, or maybe you have a story you'd like to contribute, the book's almost done, so she may not have room. But if you do have an incredible story, I would encourage you to think about sending that in. Anyway, before we go further in the show, I want to take a break here and show Yvette's story, because Yvette's story is a really good example of the sisterhood. So if we can, let's take a look at Yvette's story.
My story is like many others. I was 27 years old, long-term breastfed 3 babies at the time. I wanted to look better and feel better, went in for consultation for a breast lift and came out wanting implants. I went to one of the top surgeons in the nation, and he did a good job convincing me safe and effective. Got them in, surgery went well, and shortly after my health started to plummet, which was shocking to me because I had always been healthy and robust. Have an herbalist for a mother. I have a holistic background, never did anything to my immune system to suppress it. So this was shocking. When I started getting severe migraines, I went to a neurologist, and she was the first one who said the only thing different is the implants. I think that's what it is. Consider getting them out. Went back to my surgeon. He pulled out the FDA reports that were safe and effective, convinced me that it was all in my head. So life continued. I kept myself afloat with eating organically, taking good care of myself, and everything was kind of okay. I still didn't feel myself, but I was okay until I got bit by a tick and got Lyme, and my health plummeted. And it was a good friend of mine who's a renowned doctor who said, Yvette, you will never heal as long as you have those toxic bags in your system. I really think that most of your symptoms are actually from the implants themselves and not the Lyme. Well, she was right, because once I got them out, I felt so much better. But going back to that, I did lots of research, interviewed a lot of doctors, and when I found the one who I felt was the one, my decision was confirmed when I went into a group that I belong to, Breast Implant Illness and Healing by Nicole, and I put the doctor's name in the search engine, and I realized that a good friend of mine, fellow warrior Tia Severino, had also used him for her surgery a month earlier for her explantation. Well, I was in a debacle because I have 5 babies and my husband needed to stay home with them, but I needed someone to care for me a few states away because this doctor was all the way in Georgia and I'm not. Well, Tia was very gracious to offer her love and support to care for me, and I took her up on it. It was the best decision I ever made. I saw my doctor, got explanted, had a wonderful experience, a wonderful caretaker, and built a sisterhood. I love Tia like a sister. And because she shared her story, I got confirmation that I was doing the right thing. And because I shared my journey, other women have gotten confirmation that they're doing the right thing. And because we shared our journey together, the way she helped me, other women have reached out for help. And she has helped other women. It's been this full circle of beautiful camaraderie and sisterhood. And so I also want to say that life after implants is great. I love the way I look. I love the way I feel. I still have Lyme, guys, but I'm not bedridden. I'm not debilitated. I don't have the brain fog or the joint pain, the severe joint pain. I could exercise again and run again and have a life again. I need to be careful because when I overdo it, I flare my Lyme. But I have more good days than bad days. Before, they were all bad days. There was a point where I was bedridden. There was a point where I was in a wheelchair. It was crazy. So I just want you to know that life can exist again in a beautiful and happy and healthy way, as long as you remove those toxic bags. It was the best decision I ever made. And no, do not be scared of what you're gonna look like, because you can look beautiful. I love the way I look more now than I did back then. My surgeon did a wonderful job. And besides the case, I love how I feel. And so I hope that this little message, that my story, although this is the condensed version of it, can help someone else seek help and regain their life. Peace.
So we began to help each other in this way all across the country. Sisters, we call each other, breasties, came together helping each other, and this just kind of grew and flourished. And Dee, we got to meet in person last year in Florida.
We did.
And that was amazing. I got to hug you.
We got to float in the Gulf of Mexico together in rafts. And, one of the best things about this sisterhood is, being able to, meet these women that you connect with on such a deeper level. Like, nobody understands what we've gone through except for those who have walked in our shoes. And, just the relationships and the friendships that I've made globally over the past 4 years have been tremendous. I mean, breast implant illness does not, it hits everybody everywhere. I don't really think yes, there's going to be people saying, that it doesn't affect everyone. And yes, it doesn't affect everyone, but the majority, it definitely affects. The chemical makeup alone in silicone is over 40 heavy metals and carcinogens. And, one of the metals listed from the manufacturers is nickel. Well, guess what? From my understanding, between 65% of Americans have a nickel allergy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're putting that in our chest, but I had rashes all over my body, I couldn't breathe, and it was just awful, awful, awful. But knowing what I know now through sitting through the FDA meetings, being able to meet, and work and fight for, these positive changes that are happening with sorry, one second. My light came off here. The positive changes here that have come forth, like in the past, 2 years. Laura, who's been fighting since, the 90s with, she's boots on the ground from the get-go. And, the sisterhood that we made, the women that we went to the FDA meetings and attended these meetings together, no matter what, no matter where, no matter why, we are connected for life, and it's just a bond that is unbreakable. And, for me, over 4 years, the amount of women that I've connected with on a deeper level has been tremendous.
Mm. It's really been a blessing having this connection. Let's talk a little bit about proper explant, because that's going to be the question that most ladies have. Is like, okay, I got to get them out. How important would you say it is to find a doctor that can properly remove the implants? And what, if you could just describe what a proper implant removal, which is known as explant, what a proper implant removal is, and what the difference is between en bloc.
Oh, sugar, sorry. Yeah.
En bloc and total capsulectomy. Those are technical terms, maybe.
Correct.
And I do have a video that we're going to show here in a couple of minutes after you're done explaining that shows proper explant of implants. So what is proper explant?
A proper explant is removal of the entire, of course, the total breast implants, both implants and the capsules surrounding the implants. The capsules are created upon implantation. I mean, I've seen women who have had their breast implants for 3 weeks, explant, because they caused issues, immediately. For some women, they do lot more than you think. They feel it right off the bat, but the capsules have to be removed entirely. So a total capsulectomy is when the implant is removed first, and then the capsule is removed second and in its entirety. That's a total capsulectomy. An en bloc, which is a French term, which is like in a whole, is when the capsule is removed, still intact, fully around the implant. Now, if it has any holes in it, I mean, even a millimeter hole, by definition, it is not technically en bloc, but women see it as if it comes out in one piece, the capsule and the implant, then that is considered an en bloc.
Okay. And how important would you say that is? If you have, so like, talk about the difference between saline and silicone and what because I would say silicone must be removed en bloc. Talk about why.
So So my belief is that if you have a silicone implant or a textured saline, textured silicone, those ones that are recalled, those should be removed, as best possible as en bloc. That technique cannot always be achieved. It is, most surgeons go in there with a theory that are the skilled surgeons, that if they're going to do en bloc, then that's what they're going in there to do. But sometimes that's not possible. Once your body is opened up, anything can change it. Nothing is guaranteed really in surgery. We can't guarantee anything, but that is, those two implants should definitely, in my opinion, be removed en bloc if at all possible. And now I had a total capsulectomy. So I had smooth saline. I had them for 16 years. And before people want to jump on there that I had them too long, I was told by my surgeon, just like thousands of others, that they were lifetime devices. I never had to exchange them, that if, the saline leaked, it was only water. Well, I also had, black speckles in my implants. It looked like mold. They were also really full, like expanded. They were overfilled, of course, but you could see like the air pressure in there as well. So, smooth saline is totally fine to do a total capsulectomy, but we're seeing like at the surgery center that I work for, we see ruptured silicone implants, 3 years old, that with no trauma, just coming out disintegrated because the shell becomes compromised under pressure and in the heat. So, en bloc should be done as much as possible. Absolutely. And no matter what you do, the capsules have got to come out washed. The amount of women having to go back and have a second surgery to have the capsules that were left over, or they didn't know that their capsules should be removed, and it impairs their healing ability. So they go back, and these women seem to heal much, much, much quicker and better once their capsules are removed completely.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at some en bloc. Now, I just want to warn anybody that this may be a little bit graphic. If you're squeamish, look away for the next 30 seconds or so. But this is proper en bloc total capsulectomy en bloc procedure performed by Dr. Bear Ghazi here in Atlanta. Take a look at this.
Let's go to the other one. The right side.
So our implants turned us into advocates, and we never planned on that. When I was first considering Explant, I never thought that I was going to want to help anybody. I just wanted to get them out, but that all changed after I got them out, and I started feeling so much better. I knew I had to share my story. So we're about to go to another break, but before we do, I want to show a little bit from a news story that ran on Channel 2 a few years ago. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by Laura Bowden.
Jovita, these three women told me that they went to numerous doctors to try to find out why they felt sick all the time and never found a cure. They say when they discovered the Breast Implant Illness Facebook group, they realized their implants might be making them sick.
Couldn't even lift a gallon of milk, couldn't walk. The pain was unbearable.
I was in bed, getting up to go pick my kids up from school and then laying back down because I was so exhausted.
Just bizarre joint pain, like in my extremities, and not being able to function.
Sherry Jenkins, Amy Haney, and Tia Severino all got breast implants, and within a year or so began feeling sick. Their symptoms kept piling on.
Fibromyalgia, irritable bowel, hair loss.
Breast implant illness advocates say there are more than 20 symptoms, including fatigue, numbness, anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. Sherry, Amy, and Tia went to multiple doctors to try to figure out what was wrong and got diagnosis for their various symptoms, but the pain never went away. It wasn't until they found the Facebook group, Healing Breast Implant Illness, that they say they realized their implants might be making them sick.
All the symptoms that I was having, there was other women having them.
You can ask questions and just kind of sort through it so you can emotionally and psychologically kind of come to terms with it.
Sherry, Amy, and Tia decided to have their breast implants removed. All three say most of their symptoms disappeared soon after surgery.
I saw a dramatic difference within 24 hours.
I've been 6 months since my surgery, and I am ripping carpet off of my stairs and pressure washing my driveway and doing things that I couldn't even dream of doing.
The FDA ordered a moratorium on silicone breast implants in 1992 due to safety concerns, but after more studies allowed them in 2006.
The time to defy the modern agenda is now. UI Media Network presents Frequency Wars, an explosive new series that examines contentious subject matter pursuing us beyond our five senses. This weekly series discovers the intricacies of imposing issues that challenge our daily existence and question humanity. Provocative and intriguing, we confront the issues and conflicts affecting us on a global scale. Manipulation, manpower, or others simply controlling your mentality. The commentary and guests will shift our paradigm and defy the status quo.
In 1979, the so-called father of Israeli intelligence, a guy called Issa Harel, told an American journalist that there was going to be an Islamic attack on New York's biggest building.
Bill Gates, he is publicly saying we should consider microchipping all of humanity so we can track their vaccination status.
What you see in movies like The Avengers, that's actually true.
What will you believe? Frequency Wars challenges perception to take back your sovereignty. The power and purpose are greater than any of us, but we will test it all. Frequency Wars, the next revolution.
Welcome back. This is The People's Truth, and I'm your host, Tia Severino. We've been talking about breast implant illness. My next guest, Laura Bowden, is one of the original pioneers of breast implant illness awareness. She was featured on the Oprah show in 1995 and is part of the original Dow Corning class action lawsuit. Let's take a look at Laura in 1995 on the Oprah show.
Today's show is a news story come to life. On one side, you have women furious because they believe they were not fully informed of the painful, disfiguring, and potentially life-threatening consequences of a breast implant operation. On the other side is Dow Corning, the manufacturer of breast implants, who today comes face-to-face with an angry public.
You can't see the pain. It is like you're dying from inside out.
They had breast implants to feel more beautiful. Now they say their bodies are ticking time bombs.
The silicone had seeped down into my rib cage.
They found silicone in my uterus, my ovaries, and my liver.
Now they don't know who to blame. Dow Corning, the manufacturer.
The FDA has seen all of this information and has brought no charges or anything.
Their doctors.
She didn't know. No doctors told her what was going to happen to her.
Or themselves.
They tell you it's in your head. You begin to think you're crazy.
Wow. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, that was such an emotional plea that you made there on Oprah. How do you feel now, 25 years later, looking back on that footage? Did you really ever think then that we would be sitting here now in 2020 talking about how breast implants, including silicone breast implants, are still harming people?
No. If you would have told me back then that we'd be still talking about this, I would be absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, the fact that, I had the honor to go with Dee to the FDA and speak, the fact that this is still, that nothing has changed. You know, we have, by the grace of God, we have social media. And with social media, we've been able to, you know, give information to hundreds and, you know, what do we have? 120,000 women?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one group. I mean, it's definitely the big group. But yeah, that's one group. So it's, you know, it's basically women saving women. You know, we're still looking at medical denial.
Wow.
Back then you had mentioned that I was in the Dow Corning class action suit. It was a $4.3 billion class action suit. Women had a scramble. We had to get a diagnosis to be put on a grid. And back then there were very few doctors that would even acknowledge breast implant. Actually, it was called silicone adjuvant breast disease back then. It wasn't called breast implant illness, which makes a lot of sense. What are we talking about? The adjuvant. Where have we heard that before, Tia?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Something that I wanted to make sure that I pointed out, because I know there's so much to cram in an hour. The night before I had went to the FDA, I wasn't going to speak. I was going to just go and support with the amazing women that were already had their speeches, right? You know where I'm going.
Yes.
And it's 10:30 at night. I'm packing to get ready, and God works in amazing ways. I had somehow got my hand on a letter that my neurologist had written. I was under a neurologist care.
Wow, that's right.
Remember this? Who was actually proving that silicone adjuvant disease existed back then. So I was one of his 2,000 studies. And the night before I went to the FDA, I had got my hands on a letter that he had written to other doctors and warned them not to research the effects of breast implant illness because they will destroy you.
Wow.
So he broke into his office, put crutches and duct tape on his desk, stole his slides, and stole all his documentation. And he was at Baylor University at that time. And I don't know if I should be able to say this, but I guess so. Baylor University.
Too late.
Okay. You know what? This is exposed at this point. What do I have?
Yeah. People's truth. Get it out.
So Baylor University no longer allowed him to do the studies on women. So basically, that was the night before I went to the FDA. And I had not written a letter to speak at the FDA. I was only going to support. And after I had read that basically my Dr. Patton, my neurologist, got Wakefielded. There's a connection. They destroyed him. And the night before I went to the FDA, I found a letter that he had written and told other surgeons or scientists not to do it. They will destroy you.
Wow.
So much of what my passion is the fact that it runs parallel. Any doctor that is willing to stand up and speak for truth, destroyed and silenced. And we are
exactly
every single day.
Every
single day is happening. So with that, when I saw that, it lit a fire under me, and I ended up writing the letter to the FDA. And for me, it was closure. The FDA has known this for over 30 years. They knew this 30 years ago. And now for them to sit here and say that this isn't happening, and to have not all implants banned, it blows my mind. Blows my mind. So it's
like,
go ahead, Dee. Go ahead, babe.
No, I mean you're spot on. It's like this is just mind blowing, you know. Sybil as well. Sybil spoke, you know, along with you. I feel honored to be able to even listen to you, you know, both of you speak. But I mean, it's so sad where, you know, the agencies put in place to protect us are failing us miserably. All across the board, you know, to know that, you know, women like yourself stood on TV in 1995 saying the same thing that we were saying last year, you know, and they're acting like it's the first time they're hearing it. It's like, what planet are we on, you know?
And to continue to see these doctors be silenced. What do they have to gain by speaking up? And what do they have to do by speaking up?
Oh yeah, because they want to be blacklisted. They want to be threatened. You know, I mean, I've seen this over, you know, in the past 4 years since I've been in this, you know, community of breast implant illness. It's happens frequently where, those that are spoken out are either, ridiculed by their peers or not taken seriously, or their name is trash or fraudulent. Thank God for the internet is all I've got to say, because if we didn't connect through the internet was the downfall of them being able to say, oh, we don't know, or, we don't have enough studies. And, no, you don't have enough studies because the women were dropped from the studies when they reported adverse reactions. That's why we don't have the studies, because the studies were fraudulent. They did their own,
Well, at this point, I think we're at a point there's strength in numbers. And as far as studies, there were studies back then. There were studies done by Mayo Clinic. Well, Mayo Clinic had stock of Dow Corning. So the studies went the way that they wanted the studies to go. So
correct.
What I looked at, we have hundreds of thousands of women saying the same thing. We have 100,000 parents, thousands and thousands of parents saying the same thing. This is not.
Yeah.
So that's what my study is when I look at it. It's women all with the same symptoms.
We are the study. So, between all the support groups and on Facebook, there's over, I want to say, I believe over 46, maybe 140 at this time, but there are so many groups for support for breast implant illness. And, technically we're the studies. We have more data in these little support groups than the FDA ever had. That is a fact. We have the photographs, the pictures, the people. It's crazy.
Yeah. And for them to continue to say that there's no connection. And then we have the proof when women have their implants removed, they get better. What do we have? 90% of the women. And that is not a coincidence.
Right.
It's really 90 plus percent get better. I mean, I had 54. I looked like a different person within 36 hours. I lost 12 pounds, the swelling in my face, my eyes got clearer, my skin got clearer, my rashes stopped. Brain fog lifted, my hearing got better. I mean, it was mind blowing. So there's no doubt in my mind that's what drew my passion to do it. To be vocal, and I shared that first story, which was picked up from my Facebook post by the Daily Mail, and then it's just kind of gone from there. And the sisterhood that we get from this, and I've connected with literally thousands of women at this point, and that is the silver lining. That is the silver lining through all of this. Like, I know that God had a plan for me. I'm where I am today because I suffered so tremendously.
Well, I believe for the last 30 years for me, it's been under the radar for me. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm still in awe of the fact that this never came up on my radar for the last 30 years. I fought it for years. I became an activist, and then I needed to just take a break. And then I met my friend Latasha. You met her at the
what you're describing is called advocate or activist fatigue, and it happens a lot. I'd hate to break into the conversation, ladies, but unfortunately we are running out of time. I told you that the hour was going to go by so fast, didn't I? A couple of quick points I do have to make, and that is that there are a lot of parallels between vaccines and breast implants. In fact, there is a study out there that actually looks at adjuvants in silicone breast implants and adjuvants in vaccines causing autoimmune inflammatory illness. So you might want to look into that. Now, I'm being flashed a card that says I have 1 minute left. So I have to wrap this up by saying thank you so much for sticking around for episode 4 of The People's Truth with Tia Severino. If you're enjoying this show, you'll want to head over to UI Media Network for more uplifting, thought-provoking, and insightful programs. You can tune in on uimedianetwork.org. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Spreaker, and almost all of your favorite podcasting platforms. With social media overlords censoring the truth at every opportunity, we need your help getting these shows out to the public. So please share this content with your friends, family, and wider social network following. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. So please tune in next time, August 7th at 4 p.m. when my guest will be Dr. Brian Hooker. But before we wrap up today's show, we just have a few minutes left. I want to thank Dee and Laura so much for coming on today. It's been so wonderful. I think next time I need to block out a couple of hours for a show like this because there's just been so much to cover. We did manage to find Zuri's story, so we're going to end the show with Zuri's story. But before we do, I want to give you an email address for Renee Fields, who is working on that breast implant illness book. You can email for more information. You can email Renee Fields at mybiibook@gmail.com. Reach out to her. She is just finishing up that book. I know you're going to want to check it out. For more information on breast implant illness, you can go to healingbreastimplantillness.com. You can join Breast Implant Illness and Healing by Nicole on Facebook. If you're in the Georgia area, you can join Healing Breast Implant Illness, Georgia and Southeast. And thank you so much for tuning in for this special episode of The People's Truth. We're going to wrap up the show with Zuri's BII story.
I had a 38 triple D bust line for years. I started off probably gaining some weight from about a size 8 to 14 as I was growing up as a young girl. I'd say about 13, I was somewhere around a 12 or 14, and mainly that size because of my breasts and just the carriage of it. I was very active in school, and even throughout high school, I found myself to be doing volleyball and other sports. It was not something that I originally chose, was to get implants. It was the suggestion of my doctor because I had gone from a size 14 actually to a size 4 by the time I had my surgery. He was concerned that I was not going to have a convex breast when he finished because I was so athletic and very small, and that, you know, I would look like a 13-year-old boy, which was fine for me because I had had so much going on, and pretty much just acknowledged the fact that, okay, if I don't do this now, then I'm not going to be happy at all. And so it made me feel really bad that I couldn't move around and function like I wanted to because of the size of my breast. So I didn't really want to add anything, and at the very last minute, after I told him no, days before, that I didn't want implants, I made the decision right before I went under the knife, and I said, okay, fine. You know, I took it upon his suggestion, and it was something that if I had to say I regret, that would be the one thing in my life that I would regret. Silicone covered saline, and 300 cc's, very small. As a matter of fact, my doctor was so awesome to actually let me get them back. So this is what was inside of me. So this is...
That does not look like 300 cc's.
Well,
so you think
I guess once it was really filled, I guess over time it's just moved around to that. But these are 20 years old.
So you had those for 20 years.
Yeah, from 1996 till, I don't know, just, 2019, so it's...
What made you decide to get them removed?
I didn't want them after I came out of my surgery, actually, and so once they were in, you spent almost $6,200 to have a reconstruction. It's not really easy to just go back in. Still thinking about wanting to have them out made me think about the fact that I already needed to heal. I was 30 then, and I'm 47 now, and my surgery, let's see, we're into July right now. I had my surgery December 13th, 2019. And now I'm in my 7th month of recovery, and just now starting to not really experience any chest pain, maybe a couple little twinges here and there around my breast area. I feel more happy and energetic knowing that they're out, but also I can feel my energy has probably quadrupled since my surgery. I just felt like I was a zombie before then. You know, initially when I got my implants, my hair started falling out. I was having heart palpitations, and being as active as I am, that was kind of strange for me. I was like, I'm too young to be having a heart attack. And so I experienced a lot of other things as well, blurred vision, spots in my eyes. My thyroid was like really, my adrenals were all over the place. It was just a number of things. Like I was experiencing hyperthyroidism, and I mean, along with my vision was becoming blurred. And it's funny because just recently I had my eyes checked, and my doctor told me that I have 20/20 vision, and he said the only thing I need right now is really readers for the detailed work that I do as a designer. Knowing now, I went through 1996 till now suffering. Okay, that's 20 years of the simple fact that people were calling me a hypochondriac and telling me that I wasn't, having the experiences from that. Oh, there's just something wrong with your skin. Oh, that's just a cold. Oh, your hair's falling out. Oh, that's just stress. Yeah, the stress of having the implants in my body and the fact that my body, how I see it for me, I can't say this for anyone else, but what I saw for me is that something foreign went into my body. My body, I can barely wear a wig, but for fun. Because my body just doesn't want whatever is foreign on me. I can wear a hat, but the hair hat and the wigs, they're fun for a minute and that's it. So I like natural things. And so having the implants was completely foreign and my body was like, get out of here. What are you doing? There's an invasion. And so I was like, what in the world is happening with my body? And I was like, it's got to be these implants. It's got to be these implants. And I just never let up off of it. And the chemical itself, the silicone, saline, whatever you got, I don't care what it is. I don't believe that it should be in your body. Now, I know my body. I'm very happy that I got them out. I would suggest to anybody that even had second thoughts at all, like, should I have done this? Get them out. Don't allow yourself to be suffering with that thought. There's nothing in this world that's better than knowing that you got a free and clear, they're gone. You know what I mean? All I can say about that, I feel wonderful.
Whoa. My mind has officially been blown wide open. As yours? Keep sharing the show and join us in our mission to educate the world with uncensored truth. As they say, together we are stronger, our voices louder, and the synergy of our actions more powerful. If you have any comments or questions for Tia and her guests, send us an email at contact@uimedianetwork.org. Until then, stay safe, stay tuned. The UI Media Network and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.